One of the key learnings for me was that digital channels, when they're fully integrated in a multi-channel campaign, can truly help you amplify. We found this by loving our customers, we got brand love in return, and that has been consistent. AI is going to be a very, very powerful trend, and we really need to get on that train.
Welcome to the Growth Genius series brought to you by DMA Asia and Infidigit. My name is Shelly and I'm your host. Today our guest speaker is Luisa Mazinter. Luisa is an accomplished executive with 28 years experience in formulating and executing marketing, brand strategies, and delivering bottom line growth for brands. She's currently Group Chief Growth Officer of the 42 Markets Group, a specialist fintech group operating in the financial and capital market sector. Luisa maintains oversight over the growth strategy for the group's 4 subsidiary businesses, with a predominant focus on leading the global growth strategy for Mesh.trade, the jewel in the 42 Markets crown. As a former Chief Marketing Officer of Time Bank, Luisa developed a disruptive challenger banking brand and launched it to market through a series of award-winning campaigns, helping the bank acquire 1 million customers in first 9 months, a world record-breaking time frame for a new digital bank. A very warm welcome, Luisa.
Thank you, Shelly. It's lovely to be with you today.
Great. So you have a very interesting career path. Can you please tell us a little bit about you, your background, and your current role and your current company?
Yes, of course. It's a long story, Shelly. I actually started as a child in the theatre, sort of doing musical theatre from a very young age. And I think the thing that really compelled me about that was that it was all about authentic storytelling that resonates emotionally with an audience. And for me, that's really where I started understanding what makes an audience laugh and cry and feel connected with a story. I moved from there. My first proper job, as I call it, was for one of the top ad agencies in South Africa, which is into a division of theirs called the Business Theatre Company, where really I started to translate some of my performance skills into experiential marketing, helped to build their experiential marketing division. And a couple of years later, I actually branched out to become an entrepreneur. I ran my own marketing consultancy for 24 years, and the focus there was direct marketing, digital marketing, and helping big corporates to create a go-to-market or marketing strategy. And all of it was about telling compelling stories. While I was running my business, I did my MBA and was invited a year or two later to become an adjunct faculty member at my alma mater, which was the University of Victoria's Gordon Institute of Business Science, one of the leading business schools in the country. And I lectured there for 10 years. I lectured on the MBA course, a series of electives, as well as many executive education courses, all on marketing, digital marketing, customer centricity, and innovation. I co-authored a couple of academic case studies with my colleagues that have been published across leading global academic journals throughout the world. So I really loved the teaching. But then quite a few years later, I was headhunted to work with a couple of agencies to help them establish their digital and their innovation divisions. So I was seconded into those agencies for a couple of years, and then finally headhunted as the Chief Marketing Officer of Time Bank, South Africa's first digital bank to launch and the first bank to receive a full license in 19 years. It developed a disruptive challenger banking brand, launched it into the market through a series of award-winning campaigns, and helped the bank acquire 1 million customers in its first 9 months of operation, which was absolutely a world-beating time frame. I'm currently, as you said, Chief Growth Officer for the 42 Markets Group, and really diving into Mesh.trade, which is the group's blockchain business, really about building this institution-grade, cross-asset, decentralized financial markets infrastructure platform. Absolutely amazing business that is going to disrupt the financial markets into the future. And I guess, Shelly, I'm still giving back. I learn and I give. So I'm very involved with a couple of industry associations. I'm chair emeritus of the MMA in Southern Africa. I sit on their EMEA board, and I'm always called on to speak or to moderate panels at workshops and seminars that are focused on market education. I'm also the judge chair for the MMA Smarties Awards in Southern Africa. So it keeps me going, keeps me out of mischief.
Wow, great journey. So my next question is that you have been working in the banking and finance sector for a long time now. Can you please tell our viewers that what are the key drivers to bring growth to this sector?
Shelly, it's such an amazing sector to work in. I mean, if you think about it, money is both a very personal and a very public issue for all of us. Everyone needs it. We need it in order to live our lives. We need it in order to provide for our families in the best way we can. So there's this huge responsibility for businesses in the financial services sector to provide a trusted and secure place for people to put their money, to gain access to their money whenever they need it, so that they can buy whatever they need. And then very importantly is to enable people to use their money to make money. So either through savings or investments or other forms of services. So it all comes back to this very important concept of financial inclusion and belief that economies have a much better chance to thrive and grow when more people are able to participate in it. So in the financial services industry, generally, bad product or service design has been, unfortunately, part of consumers' reality for so long. And we tend to put up with it because we don't have any other options. So my passion is to work with businesses that design and structure financial products and services that solve customers' real problems. And I've been very lucky in my career to be able to do that with a couple of incredible businesses.
Wow, great. So you also launched South Africa's first fully digital bank in the role of Chief Marketing Officer. We would like to know about how it panned out. What was your go-to-market strategy?
Absolutely. So this is the story, Shelly. I think the thing that really attracted me to Time Bank and its amazing founder is the fact that the mission of the business was and still is to drive financial inclusion and to broaden the economic participation of all the people in this country by making banking a whole lot more accessible. And the underlying point of view of the business is that we really had a unique position that we could unlock the human potential of those who previously hadn't really had true access to financial services. I think the key thing about Time is this financial inclusion really was about overcoming this lack of access, because there really were challenges in this country for underserved markets. And I think that's consistently felt across most emerging market economies. There's a physical component to it. You don't have physical access either because of antiquated KYC or know your customer legislation, which actually requires verification of identity, physical presence at a bank to say, this is who I am, this is proof of residence where I live. And a lot of customers in rural areas found it incredibly time consuming and expensive just to get to a bank branch to prove all of that. The other thing is that financial access. South Africa's banking market was one of the most expensive in the world. at the time that TimeBank launched. And there were a number of reasons for that. In markets that are data poor, they don't have mature credit bureaus, the cost of that increased credit risk obviously needs to be passed on by the banks to their markets. And a number of other factors that both, from a security and logistical challenges that really increase the costs that banks live with. But I think the thing that for me was the most important and got the most of my focus was about emotional access. There is, when you don't understand financial services, this general distrust of the sector. And there were a whole lot of reasons for the market to distrust banks, the high costs, the bad service experiences amongst them, but were unfortunately the norm. So how did we solve this? Is by actually taking a whole lot of the processes and systems that banks had normally done manually and digitizing them. We designed a digital banking platform and operating model that was actually focused on meeting the unique needs to solve those three major pain points. The physical access, we introduced a partnership model in terms of retail distribution. We partnered with one of the biggest retail businesses in the country and put our proprietary kiosks in in their stores in order to give people physical access to actually open an account, which was right there where they shopped. So we made banking more convenient that way. We took out all the complexity that normally goes into opening an account and proving your identity by integrating with some of the national databases, the Department of Home Affairs to verify your identity, etc., which made banking more affordable. It took all those traditional manual costs out of the system. And then from an emotional access perspective, we built a brand that was inspiring and that was trustworthy. And that was the job I was tasked to lead. I mean, we had a very big job to do in very little time. We had to introduce this completely new brand into the market, establish sufficient credibility as a newcomer in the market to make people feel they could trust us with their hard-earned money. That's a tough ask when you're dealing with competitors who've been in the market for over 100 years, and suddenly you're this new young upstart who's coming in and saying, well, yes, you can trust us. So we had to disrupt the market. We had to create this differentiated and refreshing identity and brand voice that would stand out from the clutter. So yes, that was the big challenge that faced us. We also wanted to create a brand that was worth talking about and that would really deliver on the promise of recognizing people's potential and supporting them in achieving their potential. So we knew that we needed to demonstrate our passion and we needed to demonstrate our commitment to supporting people. Because, as I said, money is an emotional thing. We're all human. And a brand that has the ability to make a real financial difference is one that would lean into this emotional connection and building true brand love. And that's what we set out to do.
Yeah, that was great to know all those steps you took to build that brand. But I also wanted to know that what were the key challenges and how did you overcome them to roll out a successful digital brand?
Well, Shelly, obviously, when you're building something from scratch, there are lots of challenges. But the one that we'll never forget is we planned, we were ready to do a phased brand launch into the market. We were going to start with our credit score app and financial literacy app and then establish the brand and then introduce our banking services. And 2 months before our scheduled launch date, our majority shareholder, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, made the decision to exit from most of its emerging market operations. That included us. So the founders dove into negotiations to secure new shareholders, and we were given 3 months to rebrand the business, revise our go-to-market strategy, and of course to do that with like a dramatically smaller budget than we'd had before. So we created new brand, new positioning, entirely new corporate identity. We produced a new set of branded assets. We conceptualized and produced a new launch campaign. We developed a full range of collateral and campaign assets, and we basically launched the business into market within the time frame that was available. And not only did we have to launch the brand, we had to drive customer acquisition at scale. So the business had very ambitious growth targets for its first year. And, there was no turning back. We were in, we had to go. And at the same time as we had to get customers, we also had to keep the customers we had. So we needed to make sure that we retained the customers we were onboarding, get them to activate their accounts, and even more importantly, getting them to use their accounts sort of frequently in order for the bank to start generating income. So it was, with very limited resources. And I think our media budget was equated to about 3% share of voice in our category. We put our heads down, had this incredibly coordinated focus between the marketing team, our in-field operations team, our agencies. We had very little sleep. We were absolutely determined that we were going to be the first digital bank to launch in South Africa, and we managed to get it done. The way we went to market was quite scientific in nature. So prior to that launch date, prior to the public launch date, the above the line launch date, we started with a soft launch, and it was very much a launch driven around test, learn, adjust, and scale. So we really needed to understand very early on which of the elements of our value proposition would resonate the most deeply with our target market. And we used our partners and our distribution channel to really test carefully to try and get a sort of a representative sample of the entire population to see which messages would resonate effectively with which audiences. So we had all the geo coordinates of all the stores in the network. There are about 720 stores, which equated to about a 28 million customer retail footprint. And we chose 25, and we said, let's start with those. Those were our centroids. We launched in a very targeted geographic location. We tried to drive people to store with the proposition. We tested, I think it was 189 different creative variations across different digital channels to the prospects living and working within a 5-kilometer radius of our first 25 stores. And in that pre-launch period of 3 months, we radiated out geographically. So as we were installing kiosks into new stores, we did that in a very defined geographic area so that we could expand the communication broader and broader from that first store up to a group of stores. And it was an incredible learning experience. We understood exactly which messages resonated. Some we expected, some which were quite surprising, which combination of images and copy lines and executions were the most popular and attracted people to our kiosks to onboard. And so by the time we launched our national brand launch 3 months later, we knew that we had honed down our message and that what we reached the market was going to attract and appeal to our market. We launched above the line, big brand TVC, amplified it with a substantial PR push. Public relations was a very powerful tool for us to really expand our message beyond just in terms of earned media, so not just paid. We had a lot of rich video content that was pushed out and promoted in the social channels to support the above the line campaign, not just replicating the campaign, but telling the stories behind the stories of the people who we featured in our brand campaign. And we had a huge digital push really with display, mobile, social media platforms. We used very innovative creative assets. We cut through all this clutter in the market with a very unique challenger brand voice. We built a highly engaged brand community, and while we were building the brand, we were aggressively driving performance objectives. So our acquisition numbers really started to climb. And yes, so it continued to grow from there. We ran a couple of really great acquisition campaigns after that first 3 months. The interesting thing about what we did is it was a very holistic omni-channel approach to marketing. We didn't have the same media budgets as the rest of the industry. As I said, it was about 3% share of voice. So we really needed to make all the media work extremely hard for us. We made multi-channel storytelling really central to all our campaigns. We told real stories about real people, and we used this wide variety of rich media to tell different aspects of those stories on different channels. So it really appealed, I think, in everything that we did, both to the heart and the head. And that really was a very powerful strategy for us.
That's very interesting. So another question which I want to ask you that like 1 million customer in 9 months. So when you go to a bank, right? So you have to open an account. It's a very tedious process. So how did you overcome that? What was the strategy to onboard the customers quickly?
So this was Time's amazing, unique selling proposition, is that they were able to digitize the entire onboarding process. So a lot of the recognition of identity was done through biometrics. We were linked into our Home Affairs database. People used their fingerprints in order to verify and validate their identity. And that happened in seconds rather than it going through the traditional manual processes. As I said, it really did simplify and streamline the operations. Everything was digital. Those kiosks that did the identity verification, those kiosks sitting in the retail stores with our partners, our distribution partners, were then able to spit out a debit card, a personalized debit card with the customer's name on it, that literally they could pick up from the kiosk within under 5 minutes and walk to a retail till and put cash in to fund their account and start spending on the card. So it streamlined a process that with some banks could take over a week down to 5 minutes. And you literally have an active account there. An amazing business.
Great. So looking back now, do you think you would have done anything differently?
Oh, you know, Shelly, I think that that in hindsight, you can always see things that you could have done differently. For me, it's all about the learnings. I don't look back and regret anything. I learned from the challenges in particular, to better inform how I tackle similar challenges in the future. I think that overall, I was incredibly proud of how the team, a cross-functional team in the business, and I really believe this is the essence of it, is getting a cross-functional team, people throughout the business who can all work together to a same shared objective, work together to integrate both from a marketing, a sales and operations and a technology perspective, so that at the end of the day, you give the customer exceptional experience. I think that's what it's all about. And I think that it's also, one of the key learnings for me was that digital channels, when they're fully integrated in a multi-channel campaign, can truly help you amplify the impact of your traditional marketing approach. But you do need to find, and recent research has really supported this finding, is that it's this finding the balance between making sure you communicate the essence and the emotional truth of a brand while still driving performance objectives and performance campaigns. You can do them both simultaneously, and that really will help you to achieve your objectives. I mean, we had such an interesting experience. It wasn't just what we said in the market in terms of our marketing. The business had also appointed what we called our in-store ambassadors. These are brand ambassadors who stood next to the kiosks in the retail stores to be there to help customers open their accounts, to educate them about the bank's value proposition. And these were young people who had not previously been employed We partnered with an incredible organization called the Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator. They're a not-for-profit social enterprise that specializes in finding, screening, training, and placing first-time job seekers. And they were recruited from the local communities where the stores were. And they were selected based on their friendliness, their compassionate personality, and their customer service potential. And they were given intensive training, product knowledge, all the work readiness skills. So when customers were driven to the store, because they were intrigued by the marketing, they had a very, very consistent experience by engaging with a young, motivated brand ambassador. And when they tweeted about it or posted on Facebook how incredible the experience was, we had a social community management team who were there with a consistent voice, supportive, engaging, really a human voice who really supported our customers through the process and celebrated their success. And we found this by loving our customers, we got brand love in return, and that has been consistent throughout. I mean, during the launch campaign, our average conversion rate for digital and social channels was substantially above industry benchmarks. And I do believe it's because it was a fully integrated to the campaign.
Wow, that's great. Very interesting points you have shared. Our next segment is on campaigns. So can you please share a couple of examples of any campaigns which you have done or you admire done by somebody else?
Shelly, I'm going to talk about a campaign that I actually judged at the end of last year as part of the MMA Smarties. This was a campaign by an agency called Yonder Media, which is a leading digital agency in South Africa, for its client KFC. And what I found really exciting about this campaign was it is, because I'm pretty passionate, as you might have picked up, about the use of digital tools and technology in marketing. I think it really is a way for us to amplify everything that we do. And what they pioneered, Yonder, was the first large-scale NFT project in South Africa. So they integrated this cutting-edge Web3 technology in a very rich, engaging, and really successful campaign that drove massive product purchase and built a substantial database of KFC customers who now have active digital wallets. So they created a gamified mobile experience for KFC. It was really to celebrate KFC's 50th anniversary. And the client wanted something really unique, something that would not only be free, sort of a gamified experience that wouldn't only be free to play, but also would push sale. And they created something called the KFC Gold Hunt, which really drove consumers to seek out these virtual KFC golden buckets. And these were augmented reality, almost like Pokemon. I don't know if you remember the Pokemon Go game, where you would go and with your phone to near a KFC outlet, and you didn't need an app. It was just a web interface, and you would scan with augmented reality and you would see these spinning buckets. And you would capture that bucket, and that would either result in some kind of spot prize or a voucher or a call to action that would drive you into the KFC store just around the corner to go and get your product. So it was an amazing platform. Once they actually managed to capture the bucket, they actually used the accelerometer in the phone. They shook their phone, and immediately those coupons were redeemed. And the interest in the campaign just escalated. It was incredible through word of mouth and through the buzz and through the digital media that they bought. So in the first week, they had a 6% pickup rate, which basically escalated to 77% in the final week of the campaign.
Wow.
And 84% of those buckets, over 102,000 buckets that were captured this way, were collected by 263,000 consumers who actually had opened a wallet and were engaging in this gold rush. So what they built for KFC was a database of customers who are motivated to participate in promotions, who already have a mechanism on their phone to be able to receive coupons and to receive special offers and various NFT prizes. And I just think it's an incredible example of using Web3 technology, not overtly, but enables those brands to really engage further in the future.
Yeah, very interesting campaign. So next is trend spotting. So can you share any top 3 trends which you see maybe in the banking and finance sector?
I've got a few more than 3. I think there's some very exciting things happening in this space. I think the key thing, and I spoke about it in the learning from the Time Bank example, is that, and all my experience before and since, is that effective branding is absolutely critical for long-term success of a business. And if a brand has a clear purpose and a strong viewpoint and an innovative, creative and emotionally connected communications, they will win over the long term. And ultimately, that will drive more sales. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So excellent brand marketing is not just a nice to have, and it's never an either or. It's never a brand versus performance. It's about being able to create integrated campaigns that deliver on both objectives. That truly is, it's being borne out by research, but it has been a reality, I think, and the best brand marketers know this. Then the other really interesting trends that we're picking up in the market today, and all of you would have seen this, is that there are disruptive technologies that have been emerging for quite a number of years that are now starting to really become a reality in our lives and starting to influence what marketing is going to look like over the next few years. So we all know that AI is the flavor of the month, ChatGPT and all of that kind of thing. But it's about the effective use of AI and machine learning. I think that is going to be what really plays an increasingly central role in our lives as marketers, because it's going to help us analyze customer data, understand customer behavior, improve our targeting, help us automate tasks, deliver really personalized experiences to customers in real time. And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to do one-to-one marketing at scale. It's the thing we've been talking about since the 60s, right? So yes, AI is going to be a very, very powerful trend, and we really need to get on that train. Linked to that are things like the Internet of Things. So, the ability to embed sensors into everyday physical objects. There's a wealth of data that is generated today by IoT to help us better understand customer preferences, behavior, usage context, and actually to look at very targeted communication around post-purchase activities based on the information we gain. So very, very important. I've spoken a bit about VR, virtual reality, the metaverse, and augmented reality, which I think is going to be the use case that really precedes the metaverse into our day-to-day lives. I think that brands are starting to find really innovative new ways to use those technologies to create these completely immersive, interactive experiences for their customers. And then there's, everything else that Web3 brings. And the two that everybody talks about at the moment is NFTs. And I've given you an example of how powerful NFTs can be in marketing. And it's really about creating this sense of scarcity and exclusivity in campaigns, which becomes very, very attractive to consumers. The ability to personalize and create very unique digital assets or experiences for customers, and to create a layer of engagement that truly can be unique. And then the next evolution, I think, is going to be brands creating these immersive digital experiences in these virtual worlds or the metaverse. And there are lots of stories of brands who are doing it really successfully today. Technology and access speeds vary across the world, and different markets have different access to really, really fast connectivity, which this technology requires. But there's certainly areas that we can look at for marketing and advertising our brands in virtual worlds, in gaming environments, in these very high traffic areas that exist today in virtual reality. So we need to look at it from a customer engagement perspective and see whether the opportunities available to us to engage with our customers and showcase our products or services in a very unique and memorable and immersive way are relevant to our brands today, and can we start experimenting with them now because they are going to be part of our reality tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you so much for sharing very interesting points you have shared. So this brings us to the last segment of the show. So tell us about any one passion you follow and how it elevates your profession.
Oh, Shelly, I think that if I had to, and this was the most difficult question to answer because I have so many passions. I think I'm passionate about customers. I'm passionate about understanding what drives them and about helping them achieve, their objectives while at the same time, growing the business. And I think the essence of it all boils down to the fact that I'm a learner. I love to be constantly learning, particularly about how powerful technology is and how it can be used to change people's lives. But for me, the world is this incredible sort of place where I can understand and learn more and more every day. I will never know everything. I'm on a constant journey. And the other side of that is I don't only want to learn so that I know, I want to learn so that I can share. And I think sharing my knowledge is one of my biggest passions. So the more I teach, the more I learn, the more I can share with young people coming up through the organization, the more enriched I feel as a human. So for me, it's about learning and sharing. Those are the two things that I'm very passionate about.
Great. So where can our viewers find you and connect with you?
Well, the easiest way is they just search for me on LinkedIn. I'm findable there. I have my Twitter handle is @Lumaz, Lumaz, and my email address is Luisa@42markets.group. Get hold of me. Love to chat.
Great. Thank you so much, Luisa, for the time today. I know I've been chasing you for this interview for so long now, and I'm so happy that we did it. And I really enjoyed the conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shelly. Love chatting to you.
To all our viewers, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please leave a rating and review. I'll see you next time with a new speaker. Till then, peace.